Bodean here. Welcome back, and if you're new, welcome aboard. Say, I wanted to talk to you about the last video, and what I told you was that I was forced into retirement, which is 100% true. But what I didn't really talk to you about was the first 30 days and really what it felt like. I hit on a couple of things in the last video, but really what it came down to me is talking about the things that affected me the most. And the number one thing that affected me when retired or forced into retirement, the first things you start thinking about is really the silence. And that silence is in my position, I got emails on a daily basis from my coworkers because as I was their manager, they would call off or they would tell me where their schedule was, where they're at for the day and what they're doing. And of course, being let go abruptly, it was hard to digest that. No texts, no communication, and no emails, no corporate emails, no nothing. Not that I'm happy with corporate anyway, but at the same time, there is that silence piece that goes through where that's where you kind of feel like you lose a little bit of self-worth. The silence was tough because I was used to that structure every day, getting up, looking at my phone, seeing who called off, seeing what needed to be done, and seeing the emails of what we were supposed to do for the day. So it was really tough for me to not see that. And that leads into no schedule. So for the day then, my schedule was wide open. And that was a really tough part as well, because I was used to being structured, getting up in the morning, getting ready for work, polishing the shoes, having the cup of coffee, running out the door, getting to work, unlocking the building, and saying hello to everybody and having my meetings for the day with everybody. Well, that schedule's gone. And that was really tough. So it leaves you with an empty feeling that is tough to get through. And I think this is the first week or first 2 weeks is where it really hurts. The first week for sure. The second week it starts to settle in and you are overcome with that emotional wave. And the emotional wave is the one of fear, because without that structure, you almost feel like that's where the self-worth that we talked about in the last video, the structure's gone and you kind of feel like, what do I do with myself? That structure's not there. I'm not going to work. And so you have to recalibrate and find things to do at home, find the things that you're maybe behind on that you were missing at home and not doing or didn't have the time to do. So it's a real adjustment on time personally and time at work. But there's that weird feeling because being groomed all the years to be in the system and work, now that's gone, there's an empty feeling, and it takes the body quite some time to adjust to that. So if you know what I'm talking about, if you're retired, I'm sure you went through it. And if you haven't retired yet and thinking about it, it's a real thing. So the fear, and then that leads to anger, because the emotions that you're feeling, you want to have anger towards the place that you worked, the building, the corporation, the people you worked with. You get angry because now that schedule's gone and it leaves you with these weird feelings, and you blame it on the job. And I don't really think it should be blamed on the job. It should be a feeling of relief. But it isn't. It just, you have to, it's an outlet, the anger and the fear. And because of those things, it leads right into doubt. So you start to process all of these things, and then there's doubt. Did you cause it? There's doubt in yourself. And not only doubt in yourself, but then there's the doubt in the system. It failed you, or did you fail it? And it doesn't take long to realize that it failed you. When you work and you're dedicated through all those years, again, groomed into that workplace, feeling like you have to go to work every day for your self-worth to make enough money to make ends meet, to get by, to pay the bills, that's a tough one. But there is still doubt that you will go through, and fear and anger. And those are things that I went through. And that leads you right into the money part of it. So these are the things that I really went through in this process, and money was a huge one. When I first started the channel, we talked about money. We talked about downsizing. We talked about budget. We talked about how we're paying off debt. And we talked about running the numbers. And I ran the numbers. And that's where I came up with burn rate. The burn rate is the money in versus money out. Regardless if you're retired or not, you should always be looking at your burn rate. But your burn rate goes down significantly as we age. in the 50 to 60 range, the 60 to 70, and the 70 to 80. Those burn rates slow down. As we mature, we tend to spend less as we do less, most people. So that's where the burn rate really came in for me, and being able to help with the money, digesting, I guess, the budget of the money is what I want to say. And that leads me into Social Security. When you realize what your Social Security is going to be, you lock in on that number, there's a reality that hits that that's going to be your forever number, as I mentioned in the last video. But again, this is the process of 30 days. So about the time you get one thing handled, another thing drops on you. And I think this is going to be about a 60-day process to go through all this, and I'm almost at the end of that. But the first 30 days were the most difficult because the fears of the money and being dependent on Social Security, when you've always been dependent on going to work and making a paycheck and being rewarded for what you do, so-called reward. But if you look at that, you get your paycheck for what you've done. Now you're getting money from Social Security for what you did, but not what you're currently doing. So you're going to get that money regardless if you don't have to work for it. I guess that's what I'm getting at. You can work a little bit if you need to supplement, but not working and receiving a check is just not what I was programmed for, and most of us weren't. We're programmed to have that self-worth, to go to work, to put in the time, to make the money, to pay into the machine, to kick out a little check for us to be able to live. And that's really where it comes out. And so that led into the identity shift that I talked about in the last video. And I appreciate everybody reaching out to me and giving me all the kind words and being positive to myself, because it was huge for me to read those. It's emotional to read them, and everybody's like, you're going to be fine. You're at the good times now because you're retired. But at first, the identity shift was big for me. And you ask yourself, what am I doing? And you don't share it with everybody because it is kind of an emotional thing for you to digest. But being able to reach out to my loved ones and my wife especially to work through these things is the identity shift is, what do I do? I've been programmed to work my whole life, and now I'm not working. And being displaced, what everything I did my whole life to become who I am in the workforce, now I have to realize who I am again. It's a paradigm shift, right? We're not working anymore and we're getting paid. What do we do with all that time? I've got plenty to do, and I'm in a good place. A lot of you have helped with that in the comments and make me realize I'm on the right path. I have a lot to do, and I know that now, but it was tough for me to digest the freedom and the identity of who I'm going to be. I'm going to be my real self that I wasn't being when I was in the workplace. That freedom comes over, and you breathe better and you feel healthier just going through that identity shift. And this is for all ages. This is me telling you from experience, or from the experiences that have been shared in the comments. Don't let your work, your position, your job, and what you're doing, don't supplement the income for who you are. Who you are is inside. A job can suck the life out of you if you're in the wrong job. Just to make money, to lose your identity of who you are. I feel like in my career, I lost my identity and it's back. I'm a happier person. I always thought that I was kind of a funny person, make jokes here and there, but I noticed I had lost that sense of humor in the last bits working for corporate. And I feel that's back. And it's a bad thing to lose that because your personality goes. So for the younger generation, don't let your work become your identity. Be the person that you really feel you need to be, and be great for yourself. And it shows in your family and your relationships. It's not always about the money. It's about the time and being yourself. So if you can create that wealth early on and save and get out of that, or have a work-life balance, again, money's not everything. If you position yourself and you don't spend so much, you're going to still have your identity and know who you are and enjoy the things you really want to enjoy. Because there's nothing worse than getting home from work, getting a quick supper, getting a quick dinner, and then going to bed and realizing that you didn't complete anything but working for the system. and all you did was generate wealth for them. So that is huge. So remember that as for the younger ones that haven't retired or have got years to retire, or even if you're 10 years from retirement, plan it now, adjust now, and keep your identity. The turning point for me was simple. What I did was I'm building a kind of a whole schedule, a very intentional schedule of being able to enjoy retirement on a budget. So paying down the debt, being free from all the debt. So all the money that comes in from retirement that I make while I'm retired basically fulfills everything that I want to do. Being able to travel and see things locally, being able to go out of state and enjoy a certain amount of things. I don't need international travel to spend all the money on. If it happens from saving, fantastic. But it's about feeling good about what you want to do, and there's so many things to see that don't cost that much and don't cost that much to do. And I want to share those things with you in future videos. But right now, it's about getting through this period of time until those first Social Security checks come and we get that foundation and that solid income and be able to build from there. So if this is happening to you, you're not alone. And don't feel like you're behind if you retire early. Feel like you're ahead. So you just started, and you started in a new chapter. And that's where I'm at now, and I'm extremely excited about it. Make sure you do something kind for somebody today. Do something kind for yourself, and do something every day to make yourself feel better. And we'll see you in the next one.